Yeah, we're getting audio up there. Now we're getting way too much audio. It's like
2-minute warning call. Grab a drink. The talk is always better. Love you, Tony. Hey, by the way, more seating in the back. Grab a chair, head to the back.
Okay, here I am.
Tell you what, do it. They get to talk on the way down.
Things aren't smooth.
Seats up front. What? Heather, get in here. Is he all set? You all set? All right, I think we're ready. Everybody's in. Well, it is. We're going live on YouTube right now. Okay, so what a great day. Great start. It's great to be sort of pandemic free here in this small zone of Carson. It helps when your flood control channel has certain issues to it that hit the national news. I actually had phone calls like, is it safe to go to Carson? I've heard that the methane odor down there. I said, nothing more than usual. It's fine down here. We're still doing just fine. So thank you, everybody. This is our time to say thank you to you, the vendors, because you guys are what make this place happen on this event. So thank you for taking the time to come down, to set up, do all the things and all that. And I think we had a great first day, and we're hoping for a great second day there, and just start to build that magic again around what it is that we love and what we do, and bring people into that. So, and it's been a long day, a long week, long months. It's been COVID time in my life, so that calls for 100 proof. Pure rye, so that will help alleviate. I think I finished this morning at 3 a.m. And I didn't go home. I went to the parking lot and slept in the parking lot, and was promptly woken up when the gate rolled over, and it's like, okay, time to get going again. So it's been like that. If you had seen pictures of what this place looked like over the last couple months, raise hands, all my museum volunteers, raise your hands. They actually deserve a lot more than that. A standing ovation. These are the guys that make this happen. Yeah. So thank you guys. Tom, thank you for standing for my volunteers. The rest of them, it's very token. It's okay.
Okay, thank you as an unaffiliated guest and for allowing me to participate.
Yeah, oh, and Tom, you're doing the lithography talk over on the side there. And thanks to you, we're going to get stuck with another 100 stones from Cal State Fullerton. So
Oh,
thank
you're
you.
gonna get good.
And
I don't need
I was about to ask my volunteers, what did this place look like a month ago?
what it's gonna look like in a couple of months.
3 trailers in the parking lot, stuff all over the place. I know, but what did you guys see this morning? Nothing. We had a tent, tables, everything was squirreled away, and we just packed things in little corners. I'm Tetrix king. I can shove things in, and as I told everybody else, I said, here it's just look at the shiny ball. All right, focus up here. Don't look behind the curtain, and there we go. So we have an open air printing museum outside right now. I mean, who else puts 15 Vandercooks in a parking lot overnight? I mean, really, it's like, so there we are. So let me, to the vendors and to all the printers, my standard salute is, may you be as high as type on the 18th of September. There we go. Salute. If you didn't understand that, sorry for you. There we go. All right, so anyways, thank you again. This is kind of, now we have a 2-day event. It's been a kind of our tradition to start where our guest artists, we give them a chance to give a presentation. And part of it is just for a chance for us who work so hard in doing the event and running it and being behind your booth to sit and relax for a few moments and have you guys interact with each other and talk and say hello and stuff. And that's the other side of this magic, is the partnership and the interaction and things. Our world is about community, and we engage in all sorts of different levels of that. So this is part of our community. And we're trying here at the museum, if you've noticed, if you haven't been here, nobody's been here for a couple of years. All the changes that we've been making and improving the museum, and now our new Book Arts Institute in the back, our 4,000 square foot letterpress Book Arts Institute. So we're going to be teaching, letterpress and Vandercooks and platens and windmills and typecasting and line casting and paper making and paper marbling and bookbinding and calligraphy and printmaking. And is that a big enough vision? All right, we're going big. We're going to make this happen. So we want to engage, and a lot of you, I want to engage with you as the instructors and things. So as you have ideas for classes and all that, this is a space that's available for... I'm sorry, Jim, that's his way of saying he needed some whiskey. Is that enough? Enough kissing? Are you done? Are you done? Is she driving? There you go. That's a 100 proof rye, right? Bottled in bond. So the original labels for this are actually found at Mark's station right over here. I'm sure you have some original whiskey labels going back 100 years. A whole box of them. This is like us all losing our money. You make it there, you come over here, just give it to Mark. You go home with beautiful pieces of paper. Why go home with something that's green when you have color over here? Original color. So anyways, where was I at? We're done. Done with listening to Mark. Oh, all the changes. So yeah, last comment I want to make is just, we're trying to build, my vision for the back book arts and all that, that's the next big area for the museum. The next major programming and all stuff is, I want to see that we have workshops and guest artists from Tacoma, the real part of Washington, coming down, doing workshops and presentations, and we have gallery space and resident artists and stuff going on. Yeah, and I want to see the cross pollination of the arts, so that the letterpress people are experiencing the book arts and the paper marbling and the screen printing, and just make it all happen. So we were all about that creativity. Creativity on steroids is what I'm after. So looking forward to that continuing to grow. And during the pandemic, we actually, it was a rather sucky time for everybody, and certainly for museums, they shut us all down. So we improved the museum during that time, and in the middle of that improvement, getting the flooring across the street at Floor & Decor. The parking bill, do you guys know what the parking bill was 2 years ago? The surprise bill we got on the morning from the new landowner, not even Floor, we got permission from Floor & Decor. And then the property manager screamed at us at 10:15 that she's gonna tow everybody's car. I'm just like, so $4,000. Extortion. So I have her address if you guys need it. I'm more than happy to just make something happen. Yeah, that's right. So this year she gave us the COVID discount of $2,800. So isn't that nice? Yeah, right by Burger King. You guys don't even know there's Burger King across there. So you guys can park way over there. Anyway, so I'm over there getting the flooring for that, and we get a phone call in March of 2020, and it's from a foundation that says, we haven't done anything for you in a while, so what do you guys want to do for $5,000 to $100,000? And everybody who's been around the museum knows what my first thought was. What was the first thought?
Buy more presses.
No, it wasn't buy more presses. No, that's actually, it was a third thought, because I am buying more presses. But, no, the first thought was $96,500. When somebody gives you a range, you first figure out what the target is. Don't be greedy, don't go for 100, go for $96,500. And then I thought, what do we want to do for that? We want to put the flooring in and do all the stuff. No, we were doing the flooring. We want to do the Book Arts lab in the back. And so that was the initial grant of $100 grand to put in that. Then we got a matching grant right after that for another $100,000. And then we got some other funds in it. So this is like amazing, for the worst year of the museum's life was actually one of the best years. So think outside the box that you feel like you're in, and life is much better and much greener.
Like that term. We don't like think outside the box.
Okay, think inside your SF box. Your S-effing box. There we go. Did that hit it, Mark, for you? All right, there you go. So, and where's Chris Fridden? Did he make it in or stay in? So our itinerant printer is currently itinerant, is running around there. So, Chris came in from New York, literally called up last week, like, I'm thinking about coming out. I was like, oh my God, just come out. We'll make this happen. So we're going to do a workshop with Chris on Wednesday with the first class in the new Book Arts lab. So just really cool stuff. So a lot of things are happening out here, and thank you all for being a part of it. So enough talking with me. Last bit of announcements though, make sure I try to tell everybody, tomorrow, don't park in the church parking lot next door or next door on the other side. What was my standing joke? Everybody heard it. Your tires will be converted. Okay, there's 2 churches now over there, and the big one, who's been dark for a year and a half, tomorrow is their opening. I said, really? God couldn't wait till next Sunday. Yeah, Church of Type is on the outside, and we have their signs on the inside.
He's been here.
You've been here. We would have church here. So please park across the street. You can park kind of like deep, if you want, on the side of their building. They have a long loading dock for semis that's not used, and it's dead space. So, till tomorrow. And then if you get towed, I'm really sorry, but that's okay. She's really nice. Chloe Tran, she's in Wilshire in Santa Monica, 3215A. Wait, we're live on YouTube. This is... Oh, shoot. Okay. That was straight humor. Don't worry about it. Oh, wait, no, humor's not allowed anymore. I'm sorry. Okay, so I want to bring up, where's Tony? My good friend Tony Guadagnolo. None of us can pronounce your last name because there's a G in the middle of it that just messes up all the Irish people. Who's Irish? Who's Irish one day a year? It messes all of us up. And so, but Tony I've known for a few years now. And Tony's background, he's with Anthony Creative. He used to work with other people, and how many have worked with other people? Yep. Tony works by himself now. And he's an amazing graphic artist, graphic designer, works at a corporate level. For our team here that does the interior graphics for the fair and all, we work with a lot of things that go on to make the graphics happen and all this. And hands down, I think working with Tony has been just amazing because he does it at a professional level. But his design is great. I mean, you're going to see his work and stuff that's up here. And so thank you, Tony, for that side of it. And I asked him to come here to be our guest artist. We're trying to have a guest artist every time. And the project that Tony has been involved with, he's new to letterpress. How many years now? 3 years he's been in the promised land. And Tony discovered letterpress and was like, it's like finding that place you need to be at as a graphic artist, and just a great creative release. And I love how he thinks and his design and stuff, but I'm into community, so Tony's figured out a way to connect our letterpress community through these poster projects that has a theme, has a wood-type border, and then it's like you have to use an element of this. He'll talk about that, and then like 12 or more people get this border element, and it travels like a relay from each one of them, and they all get to create whatever they create, but you have to at least have those two elements in there. And the end result is what you see behind me. So without any further ado, all the way from a suburb of Dallas, Texas, Democratic state, come Tony and see me. Yeah, big hand for Tony.
Thanks, Mark.
How you doing there, Jim? You doing?
Oh, you're supposed to lead the whiskey.
Yeah.
Okay, well, gee, when I showed up and when I said, yes, Mark, I'll come, I didn't realize I'd have guard duty out at the gate today. So for all of you that I met at the gate, hello again. And, it's a great honor for me to be amongst such an incredible group of people, older and younger.
Tony, this is what we think of your work.
And I'm grateful. So before we get started, any good presentation starts off with a giveaway, so we're going to do that. So if you can see a piece of masking tape, either on the floor or on your chair, there should be 8 of you. Come see me, and I got something for you. Right now. Okay. Right down there. There you go. No, keep the tape. Should be on the floor back there. Let's go. Right here. No, never. I'm not bringing it to you.
I can't believe I took it off the floor.
Riley.
To take this off here.
Young lady. And you. Oh, that doesn't.
That's a brand new floor.
Hey there.
Don't let Mark see it.
Can I put this back in the floor? I'm ready to
Good
go.
choice. Who else? No, 2. Really?
I got one.
There you go. Let's go. There should be 3 more of you.
How many more? I got a piece here. I got a piece of steak.
Get out here. Let's see if you're wearing glasses and a blue shirt. First one gets it. Oh, sorry. If you're wearing glasses and a blue shirt. I get it? Oh, and I see that hand. Right up there. Yes. All right. So it continues. If anybody was born today, yesterday, or tomorrow, at some distance, anybody born in March? March 15th. Whoa, it's my birthday. Come up. You may not want this, but you're getting it anyway. It's the show poster from this week. There you go. Congratulations. Excellent. So who's had the closest birthday to today?
November 3rd.
December 3rd?
November 3rd.
Oh, November 3rd. Chris, not that you would want it, you can pick from one of these posters here after the show.
Okay.
All right, there we go. All right, let's get started. That was fun. Oh, wait a minute. I have one more. If you're wearing a beret. Melanie, come right up here. You get the hippie poster if you want it. Congratulations. All right, that's how we roll right there, giving stuff away. I like to do that.
Okay.
projector's on, we should have an image. I'm not sure.
Can you turn that light on?
Yeah, I'm going to. If you got your computer sitting as a... You should see something.
Yeah, look at the clip.
Dance and song.
Oh, what's this stand? Yeah.
Images coming up.
Excellent.
Do we need to get Mark on the
No.
Okay, so Mark did a great job of kind of talking about who I am and how I actually got into letterpress. But what I thought I would do is take you through a little bit of who I am as a creative person, and I think I will start with my family and my pictures from the Grand Canyon. Oh my gosh! This is the greatest thing that happened last year during COVID. This is Joel. He's now 18 months, but pretty sweet. I had no idea it would be this great to be a grandfather. And I have two daughter-in-laws. There they are. It's Hollis on the left and Hunter on the right. I've been really blessed to be able to acquire those two Vandercooks in my studio. It's been really incredible. Very grateful. And so, as Mark mentioned, 40 years of advertising, mostly on the creative side, has left its mark on me. I've had the opportunity to work for American Airlines, all the big guys down in Texas, Coca-Cola, Frito-Lay. And so it was, at first, it was just an incredible, and it still was. I mean, I look back and it was an incredible opportunity to be involved at the corporate level. But as some of you who come out of corporate design know, it can very soon turn into a very grid-like design process. And so one thing I did learn while I was in the first large advertising agency that I worked for was that there was no such thing as overkill. And at the time, I really didn't understand that. I'll explain it in a second, but it has flowed into my letterpress thinking and process. So at the end of 40 years, I turned from a firebrander to a firefighter, and from a firefighter to a pressman. And had no idea how that was going to affect me. I took a letterpress class randomly at an arts guild one fall and learned on a pilot, CMP, and the first pull, it was just like golden for me. There was that release, that awe in my bones that said I have found my creativity when that lasted.
Can we hear it for the pressmen out there?
Yeah, all you pressmen. So a little bit about what kind of work that I do. This is actually a high-end home magazine that I did in the Dallas area. $750,000 and above, you can be in this thing. And I did everything from naming, it's called Grand V, Luxury Living. I did everything from creating the overall image, branding, all the way through the planning on how it's going to be executed like that. So that kind of planning and execution is kind of what's going to roll into what I'm going to show you. So just real quick though, I thought I might talk a little bit about web. Anybody done any heat set web printing? This is what I'm used to printing on. This is a big Goss heat set web, and as you know, it goes through a series of festivals, something like that. But it's a continuous line. This thing is capable of 60,000 impressions an hour. However, for that magazine, it was on some really nice paper, and we slowed it down to only like 38 or 40,000. And so you can imagine while the press is running behind you, you're just thinking all that money going on while you're press checking and checking the color. So this is what that might look like. Right there on the right is a color console, and each one of those individual columns represents a point in the fountain that you can adjust. So if you want to black up 2 points in only 2 areas, just got great flexibility. And this is what you're looking at right here. This is a 32-page form that you're looking at, and you're constantly looking at color as it comes off the sheet. It's really fascinating if you ever get a chance to take a tour at a heat set web plant. Take it. This is a roll of paper. Totally unlike a roll of toilet paper that was going for so much last year. But you know, web press is a continuous piece of paper all the way through the press. And so when you get a paper jam on a wet press, that's what it looks like there on the left. That's your call paper break. That makes everybody run in all kinds of directions. And then this on the right are all of the signatures that are come off the press at the end and then get them all stacked up and then it goes to the bindery. Poor bindery people. And so at this point, I thought I might just show you real quick just a little bit of my work. This is a conceptual piece that I'm about to print. I don't know if you can see at the very bottom of the flag, it says Unum. I'm going to have a poster collective with that title on it. This is a piece I did for, I can't remember what it was. It was about hope, and so it was wide open. You just have to have something related to hope. So mine was the carrot and the stick. There's always that hope out there for us as we look forward. This is my Yeehaw guy that I did a print for. It's kind of fun. You'll see this in a minute in the 20 for 20 collective, but this is a Jeanette reproduction of the label Zulu's Ball. It's kind of the holy grail of jazz music. And that very center circle you said there, I cut that on my laser, so it made for a very unique piece going out as part of the collective. And then this is my piece for what we're going to talk about, Lovey Dovey. It was pretty fun. That chair was done on my laser and printed beautifully. If anybody wants to talk about that. Oh, also, this is a raise your hand and ask a question now. If you have any questions about what I show you, we could do that. And here's my big text guy. This was part of the Texas Border Relay, the very first one I did. It was, we'll talk about it in a minute, but this was my guy. And then my type eater series that I'm working on right now, that's a big, like a 20-inch fork that I cut on my engraver. And there's the brayer heads for all you brayer heads up there. Something I did for a client. And then Type Road, that is an actual reproduction of a type sign, of a road sign that's up in Connecticut. It went up to a type mill. And this was done for the Museum of Printing up in Haverhill for the APA Waste Goose last month or 2 months ago. And I want to say thank you to Raleigh Rice, wherever he is. Raleigh provided the polymer for this piece and for the brayer heads. And if you do not have a resource for polymer, he's an awesome person, and they do really, really great work.
And he's one of the vendors.
And one of the vendors. Okay, so I'm sorry. So let's get back to this. Okay, so the Texas Border Relay that I mentioned, that's the first one that I did back. It started in 2019, but actually finished up in 2020. Both the APA and the 20 for 20 collective, those both started and finished it in 2020. So I was doing 3 of these at one time, and that's, I mentioned earlier, my corporate career, that kind of planning and organization is something that I enjoy doing that. It comes very easy to me, and so it was a great way for me to engage with many people that I didn't know and make really good friends. Hopefully the same thing that I'm doing today with you guys. And so this is what it looked like. This is the outer carrier portion that all the prints went back in. So a little bit about all of the collectives that I did, that I curated. All the prints were sent to me, and then I organized them, collated them, and then sent them back to each one of the contributors in a set. And the Texas Border Relay went back in this kind of it was a clamshell fold-over box. And so anything that you see or hear from me that doesn't sound right, it's because it's probably not right, because I'm speaking somewhat in a language that's very, very new to me. So this is the way the Texas Border Relay started. This is an 1880 combination border from Page. And I acquired it in an auction, and I got it home, and I was very anxious to meet some people in Texas, other creative people. So I came up with a list, sent them a scope of work, and they said, yeah, we want to be a part of that. And from that, the collective was born. And so there was 11 people in that collective, and there's the Texas Trail that went on. The poster on the left is a reproduction of an original specimen sheet done by Page, and the magenta dashed lines there are the 5 pieces 5 pieces that were represented in the border. There was 42 pieces that traveled, and those were them. And so, when they came back, we had, as you can imagine, you know, the creativity of people is often, well, it's not often, it's always different, but it's nice to have a common element, and that common element for this collective needed to be Texas-driven, and it had to include at least one element out of that page border. And so you had people who treated it very much like a border, very creatively. Oh, here on the left, that's from Workhorse down in Houston. David Wolski, you'll probably know him in the middle, very geometric, and just love his work. And then, not to brag, but that's my cowboy on the end. I just stuck it in there so I didn't have to explain the previous slide. So thank you for putting up with that. Okay, and then the second one that I did was, I have an SP20, and so I went out and located 65, Paul Moxon helped me curate or get the list. Sent out to 65 people a scope of work, said, hey, do you want to do this? And 20 of them were able to do it. So it worked out pretty well. SP20s, 20 for 20, and I had 20 of them. So that was, I like the way that worked. And so it was jazz related, and again, I didn't send out a border on this. It was just wide open. The only thing that was required was it had to be jazz related and 12 by 18, done in the jazz age, 1920s. So that's what that way that happened. So all of these large visuals, like the mouth and this musical graphic here, I cut all of those with my laser and was able to print them. And I thought I might show this video of. This is the belly band and how I cut the tab to close it down. And I have that up here, so after when the last come on, you can take a look. But the beautiful things I love about letterpress is math. Math is math, and when it works, it's going to work every time. And so with a little bit of trial and error, I was able to calculate the position of the sheet and the position of the laser in a way that was going to cut the belly band. And you can see the little tab there. And then so I printed them 2 up, and so then all I had to do is cut that out. So that's that. And so this is a series of prints from that. Again, it's just a beautiful representation of the creativity that people, just the way they think, the way they execute. I thought it was really, really wonderful. Anybody know Bobby Rosenstock? Great wood carver, printer in
Marietta, Ohio.
Thank you for that. And a really wonderful person to know and to talk with, and 2, a very, very talented artist. Thank you. And so that brings us to the APA border relay that these 12 represent. Actually, there's 24 of them.
Tony?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain what APA is?
Yes, I'm sorry. The APA is the Amalgamated Printers Association, and it's
60 years old. And
thank you, 60 years old.
And you 150 members. You have to print 4 pieces letterpress every year, and it goes to a mailer in the group who then puts them into an envelope, and every month you get this amazing and less than amazing printing,
Exactly.
and all, but it's to do letterpress, so that's what
Right.
the APA is.
And Mark mentioned us. He's very much about community, and I really am too. Mostly because I do not have a community like what's represented here. I just think this is a wonderful. I'm very honored to be here before you, but I'm very honored to be able to be before you and talk about something that you guys should be talking about. But here I am. So the APA. So this is a. If you see the specimen sheet there, that's the Hamilton Mineola wood border from about 1905. That circular is from. And so the scope of work called for the use of at least one of the sorts from that border, and it happened to be this, what I call an arrowhead. And so each of the regions received 12 of the pieces in a box that relayed through their region. The theme prompt was English idioms, like cat got your tongue, or lovey-dovey, or any number of idioms that you use every day, and you probably don't even realize that. And so, like I said, I created these boxes, and all the artists signed the top of the box when they got to their studio, and so they were free to use any of the pieces along with whatever they wanted to come up with out of their own assets from their studio. And as you can see on the wall, or have seen on the wall, it's a great collection of creative thought and execution. Very good. And so this is the trail of the three regions, 39 sorts, over 24 studios, and over 8,000 miles. Pretty fun graphic there. And so when they came back to me, part of the thing that I was responsible for was the organization part of it, right? And I've got the samples up here if you want to look at them. But I took the sorts themselves right here, redrew them in Illustrator, and then I enlarged them in order to use them. If you remember, there's the belly band, which matches this piece right here. And then each one, so there were three relays, so each one of them had their own sort that was on top of their divider page for their relay. So it really turned out to be a very nice way to do that. And does anybody want to see another video of how that was cut? Be interested in that at all? Maybe, maybe not.
What's the addition of these?
So the edition of the Texas Border Relay was 27. This one was 35. Yes, 35. So this is the APA double banner here. And you can see where I've been testing all this down here to make sure that the math was right. Math is math. Sorry, if I didn't think this was kind of interesting, I wouldn't be boring you with video. But I figured out how to do this kind of production on the lasers in really a fun thing to discover. So I encourage you to, it's not just about cutting out letters and stuff, you can actually use it for other things.
What's one of the problems you have with the laser in your shop? Laser cutter.
Physically in the shop? Nothing really other than the laser has to be vented to an outside wall so that you're not breathing all those fumes. But that's a really, I'm sorry?
Wood dust, isn't it?
Oh no, there's virtually none because it's vaporized by the laser. You just have to have a way of carrying those fumes outdoors. So that was that. So I just thought that would be interesting. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. So this is the completed portfolio. We had the belly band that you saw, and then these are this on the right is actually a composite. This was the cover sheet, if you will, for the entire piece, and then each of the sections had their own graphic on those. And so let me see. Yeah, so I'll just show you three real quick. And as part of the collective that went back to the contributors, they sent me production pieces and I did write-ups, and they sent me photographs, and I included that in a printed piece that went back to them. So it was a really comprehensive portfolio going back to the creatives. And you can see down there in the lower right-hand corner the arrowhead, if you will, that this guy used. This was done by the very talented Gerald. Where's Gerald? Yes. Great lino carving and very well executed on the front side. And then this was another one just randomly showing their tissues on how they've tried to figure out what they were actually going to do. And there's lovey-dovey. And just a little bit on my corporate background, you see in that upper, that's my screen, a screenshot or a photo of my screen. So unfortunately, I'm not all that great at getting on the press and figuring things out. I really like to know where things are going to go. And so I have a tendency to overdo everything. And you can see that in my, so that's exactly what I was looking for. But, like that. And then another kind of surprising thing is, see this sort right here? I didn't realize that was going to make the heart. You may not be able to see it up there. Anyway, those two sorts together make a little heart right there, which fit in very nicely for my lovey-dovey theme. And so currently, the next APA, Border Collective, is already going on. We're in the 8th leg of 9 legs, and there are 36 artists from the APA participating in this one. And we're really anxious, I think. Yes, that's right. Jessica's going to be part of this one. We're really looking forward to that. And the plan is that I'm going to expand the collective call scope of work. And so if anybody is interested in that, you have to at least be able to print a 12x18, which is the format. And so if you're interested, see me after, and I will take your email down, or you can give me a card, and I'll contact you when that scope of work is ready. So yeah, question and answers now, and thank you very, very much for listening. Anybody?
Right here.
What's your studio look like?
Can we get lights on?
I'm sorry, what was that?
We saw your 2 presses. Let's see that laser cutter.
Yes, sir?
Talk about your studio.
Oh, my studio. Oh, okay, so it's a converted game room that I had to promise my wife a vacation in Europe to get. And so, but it was well worth it. I was printing in a garage in Texas, and you can imagine what that was like, you know, all this, yeah, I've been in it for sure. And so, very, very thankful to be indoors with the 2 presses. One is an SB20. It's got a 19.5-inch bed, and you can do a 28-inch sheet, and then it's a universal one is the other one, and it's very similar to an SB15 like that. So
We're attacking you.
yeah, it's okay.
California, Texas.
Yes. So here's the belly band for the APA event. Or collective, I'm sorry, and there's the cut, if you want to take a look at that. And then here's the belly band for the SB20. And so the delicate thing about the laser is not burning your paper, right? And so I'm still learning about that. I met a great guy right there, Tom, that's going to help me out with understanding that. But I understand a lot of things, but I don't always know how to get from point A to point B. He's going to help me out. Here's that Jeanette that I did. It really worked out really well. Then I mentioned the pages that go back to the artist. It was something like this, where 12x18, which matched the format, and then I included information about their prints and pictures of them. It was a nice, fun thing to work on. Here's that cover page I was talking about. Yes, ma'am.
So the collaborative aspect of these projects, do you feel like your corporate life prepared you for that?
Oh, for sure. That's a great observation. Yeah, corporate work requires you to be over the top an organization and the management of that organization. It's a great point. Here's the individual sheets real quick. I'll see you over there, Chris. What can I answer for you, sir?
It's kind of a private question, Tony, but it goes along with what you just said, so it's a good segue. My question was going to be whether or not you felt lonely in the corporate work in a way that becoming a part of a community like this makes you feel less lonely, and in that way where there's a kind of collaboration that takes place there, but the collaboration is usually based on the dollar, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, very, very, very acute persecution down. I think that was something that I came out of the corporate world. I was in a huge agency at first, hated that, migrated down to a smaller firm, and then ultimately went out on my own. Had 14 people creative group. Went through a partnership dissolve, and then moved home to kind of absorb that and figure out what I wanted to do 20 years ago, and I'm still there 20 years ago. So that, yeah, you're right. So I've been 20 years by myself doing just a boatload of work.
So you weren't necessarily, you were working with people, but you weren't working with them.
Yeah. Yes. I would hire freelancers and all kinds of people. More.
So, we met at Hamilton 4 years ago or 3 years ago? Roughly.
COVID years or non?
No, I'm not counting one. Anyway, we met at the Hamilton Type Museum, and so when we were doing that project together that day, that workshop, were you already thinking about this stuff, or you weren't doing any of this then, right?
No, none of the
Right, 'cause
none of the
you've
collaborative.
never been on the letterpress before?
Oh no, I had already had my SG20,
Okay,
but I was.
but like you weren't doing any,
I
you
think
weren't,
it was in the summer, so I wasn't out.
so
messing
after,
with it.
what was November, so after that, when you kind of started thinking about this? Or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. What else, Mark?
You've got just this great array of at least the two collaboratives up there, and a nice diverse group there. Tell me about two of them that really are for you as the one who's getting. I assume that when you get these things back, I think you told me about that process that you kind of like open them all up. I think get all at the same time or something. It's the guy who's organizing it.
Yeah.
It becomes this experience
So,
to see what happens.
Yeah.
One, tell me about that process, and two, tell me about two of your highlights up that are up on the wall, and why you, in your design and your experience, what is amazing to you, what you're seeing.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. So yeah, Mark's right. When the collective
Wait, you
started.
can stop there. Just,
You've been drinking way too much. So when the collective, Mark was right, when the collectives all came in, you know, these 12, or in many cases, like huge boxes showed up on my doorstep, but I didn't open a single one. I just kept stacking them on a table. And so they were just, it was like Christmas in November early. So I opened them all up at the same time, went through ood and awed on everyone, and I kept going, oh, this is the best one. Oh my gosh, this is the best one. And I just kept going and going like that. So that was kind of my experience, and I love that. And so a little bit about my interaction with everybody. I would maybe every other week send them an email saying, hey, we're almost at the end of the first leg, it's time to send the second one. And so it was those kind of touches with people that really paid off for me, because they would respond back, and I would get a little bit to know about them, and ask about who they are, where they're from, and all that kind of stuff. That's really what I love, is find out about people like that. So two of my favorite, let me take a look. Well, my all-time favorite is the one done by Amy Redmond, Buck Up. For those of you who can see it, it's a deer, right? A buck. And I thought it was just the most incredibly balanced use of white space. And for a designer coming out of the corporate world, it's all about that. You know, the ratio of white to ink and how that lines up. Amy's an incredible designer and actually is still in the corporate world for sure. And then, you know, I'm a big fan of the Bed of Roses. I think that Stephanie Carpenter did a great job carving that. Just kind of the whole concept and the way that she produced it as a bleed was really, really impactful to me. Of course, I love Gerald's piece. And actually, this one is kind of, I love the way that her subtle use of subtle colors was just amazing. Ashley Fuchs up, and she teaches at Montana. She's really, really incredible. Yeah, so I'd say those. I mean, they're all elements of them all that you can probably look up and say, oh, that was very clever, well done, good use of color, like that. So, yeah, those are those.
what do you think of Lovey Dovey? I mean, that hits me. Is that?
Oh, is it speaking to you, Mark?
Yes,
Oh,
right there.
interesting. Okay, very good. No, it's kind of, so I had that concept.
It's the whiskey, Mark.
The whiskey, keep drinking. The chair I had for a long time and was wanting to use it in some kind of design. And when I came up with the idea that arrowhead is, well, the reason why I called it an arrowhead is because I was using it as an arrowhead. So, but the very interesting thing is nobody kind of used it in this as nobody had the same idiom, which was kind of interesting. And two, there were some similarities in some of the execution, but by and large, there are 24 pretty unique creative executions using the board.
I mean, who did the right behind you is like a sort of basic flowers?
I'm sorry, right here? Oh yeah, this is Jason Wettigen. Do you know Jason in Denver?
Can't get turned.
He's incredible.
Oh, okay.
He's incredible. So and I'll go ahead and throw him under the bus. He's misspelled lilies, but gild these lilies, and it's just a beautiful vase of flowers. Am I talking too long?
When you laser cut the blocks, is it MDF?
No. You know, if you want to see them, I brought some pictures. Sometimes it's Baltic birch. Sometimes it's acrylic. And those are the two things I primarily, and some masonite. I work with masonite. So, yeah. Anybody else? I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
To that gentleman's point about corporate coming out on your own, I'm a graphic designer working for corporate, and I'm also teaching. So I would love one day, to have the bravery that you have to go on my own. But financially, I don't know where I would stand. I think this is a sensitive issue. Do you sell your work individually? Because now are you an artist? You're not a designer anymore because you're designing for yourself and you're selling your work. How does that work? How does that, when you go on your own, category works, if I may? If you don't feel comfortable.
No. That's a great question.
But for some of us who are dreaming to be where you are,
No.
what's your
Right. So two things. One, you need 40 more years. Yeah. And so, not to brag at all, but after 40 years of advertising, you have the assets to immediately buy a Vandercook, and a lot of people just don't have that. And so it took, I'm 65, and I've just been printing for a few years, and so I look out and I see other people's works who've been printing for a very long time, and I'm overwhelmed because I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball on that. When I creative, I don't really feel like I'm not a designer or creative because it's who I am. I mean, I think you really see it in my work. It's hard for me to get away from that grid and wanting to make sure that everything looks exactly the way I expect. I don't like to be surprised in the corporate world, right? And it bleeds over into my letterpress. I would love to be a little more free spirit. So, does that help at all? No.
Do you go, now that you're producing this work, do you have a client that you work with?
Oh.
Or are you on your own producing this work and then you put the work out there to sell them?
Yeah. So it's very much a selfish, well, not really, it's kind of selfish because I was wanting to meet people, and the only way to do that is kind of create something that people would love to be a part of and would enjoy being a part of. And so the whole collaboration, the whole community within the APA really, it was just laid out there for me, and I just kind of resourced that group, and so it was really good for me. But to your point, I don't really sell. This is the first time I've ever sold anything. These little skinny fun prints there, and I'm really not into it for the selling. I know that sounds really, really weird, but I'm into it to meet you and all of you, and well, not Mark. No, he's a good, really dear friend. And I want to say, everybody wearing a blue shirt, thank you for making my stay here from Texas really, really good. Okay, Mark, I think that does it. Unless anybody has anything else, please say no. Okay, good. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Come on in.
Tony's getting rich in his retirement doing letterpress printing, so that's the motto here. Letterpress is your retirement, all right?
Mark this.
And we offer payment plans on Vandercook presses. So we have 20 out there for sale.
No, we're talking about a devoted guy. I was here at 7:30 this morning, and who was directing traffic?
Tony.
Yeah, man.
And our world is all about us giving and participating and all that. So we see that in our volunteers, we see that in the vendors. We all help each other, we all do things. And so I'm hoping that with our events like this, connect with each other, get inspired. I mean, Tony inspires me on what he's doing, and he's, 3 years into this, 4 years into this, or whatever it is. Look what he's created and all. And look how many people he's brought together. And I'm the president right now of the APA. I just had him speak at the last gathering that we had, because this is like amazing. This is, we need to learn from each other. We need, even when you think, like Tony's very honest about saying, I don't know it all. You know, I don't understand how this works on the ink, on the press, and all these things. And he gets the design side, and there's others of us who don't get the design side, but we get the mechanics, and we work with each other. And out of that comes this. This is what we're all about. So, fantastic. Yes, Doug?
Between Tony, I also want to thank Madeline for making everything work.
Oh, yes. So, my apologies for not recognizing Madeline early. Madeline, take the mask down for a second. All right. Bill. Madeline is our new museum manager. Sarah married a rabbi and ran to Israel.
Seriously?
Yeah. So, these are subtle stories here at the Printing Museum. There's cliff notes. You can ask me about that later. But right before the pandemic, like, what was it, 1 week before?
March 2020.
Yeah, March 2020, I hired Madeline because Sarah was going to get married that summer, the 2020, and go to Israel to finish up his rabbinical studies, married a rabbi, and she's going to move on. And because she's of the generation, you can't work more than 5 years anywhere. You know, so it's like, okay, off you go. And then the pandemic happens. I just hired Madeline, who came to the 2019 Printers Fair. This is the fruit of the Printers Fair, is Madeline. And her mom was here volunteering today, which is part of the package deal. I get the entire family, and we hire them. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, Sarah's staying because she's not going to get married because they can't get together for the wedding and all this kind of stuff. And so I'm not going to let her, like, you know, not have a job. Madeline I just hired, I'm not going to let her disappear because we need her in the transition. It was going to be a 6-month transition, which became a 1.5-year transition. And then Sarah finally moved on, and she's listening right now in Israel. So hello, Sarah. She's there. And we love Sarah, amazing job, and we burned her in initiation through the first Ways Goose 6 years ago. So Madeline, this is her newbie Ways Goose, making this happen. She made the virtual Ways Goose happen last year. She was with Sarah, the virtual Printers Fair last year with Sarah, but she's really one of the keys on that. And then this year, it's the first time doing it. She's done a fantastic job. She's braved it under the pressure. You can't imagine, we're dealing with a staff of 2.5 and volunteers. So it's just like, what gets done, gets done. And so thank you, Madeline, great job. You actually paid for that because she's still on the clock, so we're at double time, I think, now. I don't know, you're making a whole lot of money. We just keep this going forever, but we shouldn't. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for spending a little time relaxing and all that. Don't forget to wake up tomorrow, set those clocks, come down, sell stuff, get your discounts going. And John Barrett was happy, he sold most of his stuff. So if you can get rid of all of your inventory by the end, it's a great day. Oh, by the way, it's daylight savings. Either sleep more or stay up late. Okay, so don't show up too early tomorrow. We're not letting you in at 7. Okay, thanks, guys. Happy birthday to the lady. Did you bring her a happy birthday? Do you want to do the mark to the current now?
The current that's outside, you'll roll it in the